Hello and welcome to the land of YouTubeness. Welcome to my channel. This is a certified Jordan channel. Once again, welcome back, and thanks to the new subscribers. You're most welcome, and thank you for joining the channel. I hope you enjoy this content. Guys, just a quick thing that I've realized is that 84.3% of people viewing or watching my videos are not subscribers. I want to ask you a big favor. Please, if this is the type of content that you like to see, give it a thumbs up. It takes 1 second of your time, and please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out quite a lot. I've got a new camera, so we're going to check out the audio in this video. If needs be, I'll have to maybe make some changes to the audio on the system. So we'll see how that plays out. But in today's video, let me just show you this. We are going to be working on this stunning KTM Adventure 640 LC4. It has no spark, so I've actually already went and I fixed it on camera, and then I lost the footage. So what I've done, and I'll show you now, because as you can see, this orange gasket that's in here, that's leaking oil, because in this LC4 motor the magneto is wet. It runs in engine oil. However, on these bikes, this is a dry sump, so the oil is contained inside of the engine, inside of the motorcycle's frame. It's got two oil pumps. One pumps the oil from the frame into the engine, and the other oil pump pumps the oil out of the engine back into the frame. So if you open this up, all the engine oil is not going to come pouring out because of the dry sump system. Here's one of the oil feeds, as you can see. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to remake a gasket for this to stop this engine from leaking oil, and then I'll show you what I've done. So let me set up my camera here, and as I said, it's a new camera, so let me see how I'm going to set it up, and then we'll take the video further. Okay, so let me get my 80 wrench here. I'm going to show you now exactly what's going on here. This is quite a long bolt, as it goes deep into the side of the engine here. There's one short one here and two longer ones. So the magneto on this motorcycle is fixed to the back of this cover. Sorry. What I meant to say is the magneto in this engine is the other way around. You'll see now what I mean. The coil is actually on the back of this cover. So the magneto, like in your Yamahas, I'm referring to like the DT175s and all of that, you'll typically find that this coil, this coily bit here, is on the inside mounted to the engine, and then this is turned around. It's still on the crankshaft, but it spins like this and not like this. So it spins around this thing mounted to the inside. So this is the other way around, and I'm going to have to take this off because I need to get this gasket off and make a new gasket and clean up all these mating surfaces for this gasket to seal on this edge of the engine here. Alright, so what I've done here, I've readjusted this pickup. This pickup picks up, funny how that works, eh? The pickup picks up when this magneto is spinning at a certain point and where it needs to send the spark to the coil and then ultimately to the spark plug. So what happened here is the gap between the pickup and the magneto itself is too much. So I've readjusted that. That should be just about the size of the thickness of a single piece of paper, printing paper. So I've adjusted that. That is now 100%. It does start, but it's really messy with the oil here. The inside of this magneto also, let me just show you this. The inside of this magneto looks a bit flaky, if I can call it that. If you can see here, it's like this stainless sheathing that it's got over the magnet is starting to separate from the magneto. So there was some steel fragments in here. I've properly cleaned it out. It's been running for a while. I let it run yesterday for some time, and at the moment I can't feel any steel shavings inside here. So somebody has come in here with a hammer and a punch, looks like a punch marks, trying to get this magneto off, and I think that's when they damaged this stainless steel sheathing. But nevertheless, we'll continue. So I think first things first, let's get this off so that we can get this cover and make a bracket, or sorry, a new gasket. I'm still sitting with the same situation as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, when my proper Allen keys are still in my office. At the moment it's weekend, as I had a problem there and I needed my Allen keys to open the electrical thing there, and I forgot my Allen keys in the office. So now I need to work with these normal L-shaped Allen keys, and I absolutely hate it. If you want to save yourself a lot of trouble, you get these T handles in Allen keys. You also get them in the L-shaped Allen keys, such as this. This is my Allen keys that I've left at work, the sizes for this. So do yourself a favor and buy yourself a set of those. I promise you, you'll never use these Allen keys again. And they give you much more leverage. These bolts, you don't want them to come loose. So this will definitely have to get some Loctite before we put them back in here. So I'm going to just break that seal out. We're going to make a new one anyway now, so let us just clean all the loose oil out of this casing. And then we can go back to the bench and we can start making a new gasket for this. Now guys, I'm sure this can become very boring very quickly. So here you can see the shape of this. So what I'm doing, let me just realign this back to where it was. Right. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my rubber mallet, just lightly going around the side of this. So what's actually happening here, I'm using this razor sharp edge of this casing. Just look at that fantastic LC4 logo. I had one of these bikes, guys, so excuse me if I'm over the moon a bit, but these LC4 engines are fantastic. So I'm using that razor sharp edge, and by hitting it softly with a mallet, it's giving me an outline, and sometimes it actually already cuts it for me. So I'm going to keep on making this gasket, and then I'll get back to you. Guys, let me show you this real quick. To make a gasket, you need to take these things, these access pieces, out of the holes where the bolts needs to go through. Now there is a tool for this, but if you don't have that tool, simply take a socket, sharpen the edge, put it on, and hit it with a hammer. Let me show you this. Here's a piece of access, alright? Hit it with a hammer. Here's a bigger one. Hit it with a hammer. Now look at this. There's a little one, and there's a big one. There's your perfect bolt hole in your gasket. Let's take this off. It's not going to be so easy. Let's take this window scraper. All the way around here. You need to clean this mating surfaces. Remember, this is aluminium, so you don't want to gouge it. Just nice and clean. Just the big pieces off. Now I can take my green Scotch-Brite pad, if I can remember where I've put it. Green Scotch-Brite pad, and I can just make 100% perfectly sure that this mating surface is nice and clean. You don't want to clean it too much on one specific part, as that will make an indentation in the metal, which will cause your gasket not to seal. It's just one piece here I'm trying to clean nicely. Right, so here where the stator's wires goes through, yeah, we need to put a blob of silicone. As I mentioned to you before, this is the silicone that I use in engines. Now I'm going to show you the amount of silicone that I use. I told you I don't use a lot of silicone. I said to you I'll use a couple of drops or dabs for an entire engine build, and I'm going to show you now how much I actually use. Alright, so this is what I do, okay, and then I'll smear it around. Take it nice and wide. Then I'll come over the entire surface again, just dabbing it like this. There's a bit too much here, so I can dab it out to a drier section. Same thing here. Okay, then here where the wires are coming through for the stator, I'm going to have to leave a bit of extra silicone or RTV gasket maker, because that needs to seal. Whatever then comes out as excess, we'll wipe off. So now what I'll do, I'll take a piece of paper and I'll just wipe the inside. Just give it a wipe to get all the silicone that came into the inside of this casing off. Alright, now what I'll do, I'll put my gasket in place. But I forgot something. Did you realize my mistake? Let me just camera for you to see. Right. I need to open this up. Let's just put this on a clean surface down here, because this needs to go in first. And even before that, let me wipe off this oily bit on this rubber grommet that goes through that little cavity on this casing. So there's a rubber grommet that goes through the casing. There's that. Just make sure it's fully seated. I'm just going to take my finger and remove the silicone that came out. I'll clean it off right now. And let's put this gasket on here. Maybe let me just take a dab of the silicone. Just dab that section of the rubber. You can dab all of this down again, just to make it stand up straight, so that it will seal nicely against this gasket. Okay. Now, let's get some Loctite with these 3 bolts that needs to go in there. I've got some throttle body cleaner here. Just cleaning these off. And the reason I do that is because I want my Loctite to go onto the bolt and not onto a layer of oil. That's it, nice and clean. Going to give it a dab of Loctite. You don't need to put the whole bottle on here. I actually put quite a lot on that one by accident. Just a dab. Just to ensure it doesn't come loose, because you can imagine if these bolts comes loose in this area that is spinning at 10,000 RPM or whatever the engine speed is at the moment. At that moment, that will wreak havoc inside of this engine compartment. So now I'm tightening these down with Loctite on them. And that will ensure that they never come loose on their own. Remember, this is an aluminium casing. You don't need 500 Newton meters of torque. I'm using a very small Allen key here with not a lot of leverage. I'm just tightening it by hand. That's more than tight enough. And then make sure our gasket is fully seated where it's supposed to be, and that looks good to me. I'm going to wipe off all the silicone that came out. Then we can shove all of these back in. And from experience, I know that usually a casing such as this that goes into an aluminium casing will be torqued at a maximum of 12 Newton meter, 10 to 12 Newton meter. So I'm going to get my torque wrench out. Let's do a proper job and torque that down. Set my torque wrench here at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's make it 12 Newton meters. Let's first just go and tighten them as evenly as possible. Come on, click. Just check if this thing shifted. No, it did not shift. Here we go. Once that's, let's just check them once again. It's 12 Newton meters. I'm happy with that. Now, this leak will be a thing of the past. But as you can see, this gasket that comes out of here is not very pretty. So what we'll do, we'll come in here with our blade, and please don't scratch the engine. We'll just come and clean this off nicely. We don't want the owner of this motorcycle to say, geez, it looks like a backyard mechanic worked on my bike. There you go, that's nice and neat. That's nice and neat. You can maybe just take that little bit off, and then what we're going to do is just take all that excess silicone off. Down here, I'm completely satisfied. There you go, that's much better. That's better. I'm happy with that. Right. Maybe, see, I don't want to fiddle with it too much here where the rubber grommet is, because we've got many different mating surfaces there. We've got rubber, we've got gaskets, and then in between everything there we have the metal sections there. So let's just make it nice and clean. And now I think we are ready to see if it's leaking. So let's see if there's enough oomph in this battery to get this motorcycle to fire up. Turn this camera a bit. Now we can see if it's leaking. Let's move you away just a tad. Always remember, after using your torque wrench, take the tension off, because the spring will wear out and then you will have to get your torque wrench recalibrated. That might be because we don't give a chuck. This battery is a bit flat, but that should have given us enough time to see if there's any leaks here. But what I'll do, maybe it's not such a bad idea to take a clean rag. Well, it's not clean in any shape, way or form, but at least there's no oil on it. Just clean all of this off nicely. And then I'll put her on charge for a while. And then we'll start her right up again. And then we'll see what she does. I'll be back. Okay, it's been on charge for around an hour, so let's see what it does now. Just check something on this fuel. Let me just get a light here. So this section is done. This whole gasket that we've made is in there, it's not leaking. So now we're trying to sort out this mess of a wiring loom. So I've realized that here on the CDI, this white wire is rubbed through, the green wire behind it is rubbed through, this black wire is pinched there, and this pink wire is completely worn through there. There's one strand of wire holding that on. So the problem is with this motorcycle, it's got a problem with spark. Sometimes it has spark, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm thinking it's this. The throttle positioning center, there's loose wires. There's some loose wires here. You can see that one wire there, the one on the left there, is completely cut off and missing. Then on this side we have wires that's cut off and joined. Then here under the speedo cluster, there's a lot of plugs that's not connected to anything. So we're going to see if we can get all of this sorted out. And hopefully, I think our biggest issue here is this pink wire right there. That pink wire there. So I'm going to see if I do a continuity test from the inside of this plug. I can take this plug out, and then I'll be able to see if I have continuity on that pink wire to here. So if I have continuity, that's fine. If I don't have this one, I know I'm going to have a problem with. So I'll try and sort that out. Maybe shorten these wires or just cut them off and solder them properly and make sure they've got a good connection. And then we'll see if this puppy here like to play game, and if it's constantly going to spark, then we know that the problem is solved. So hopefully that will be done and that will work. And then I also just want to quickly show you this. This is the decompressor. So if you pull that up by pulling that short little lever, this lever right here, if you pull on this, let me show you. If I pull on that, that thing moves. So that opens one of the exhaust valves in order for the piston to go up and down more easily if you need to kick it. So that cable is too stiff. We need to put some slack into that cable because there's no slack in it at all. So it's constantly keeping one valve slightly open. It might be 1%, but 1% is too much. I'll keep you updated. I'm going to keep on the struggle with this one and this wiring mess that I'm faced with here. Alright guys, so I went right ahead and I've checked the valve clearances on the exhaust valves as well. Let me try to show you this as on the intake valves. Now, there's many different versions of this LC4 engine, but on this engine the specs for intake and exhaust is between 0.12 millimeter and 0.15 millimeter. So the exhaust valves on this side was at around 0.2 millimeter, and that's why they were so noisy. So in this instance I've set both intake and exhaust valves to 0.13 millimeter, which is well in spec. And I think that is going to solve the noisy valve train that we had on this motorcycle. The wiring has been repaired. We have spark. If I start this motorcycle now, it's going to spill oil everywhere. So I'm not going to do that right now. But let me get these covers back onto the intake and exhaust valves and slap the tank on. We won't fasten it, we just put it on to get fuel to the carburetors, and then let me start it for you so that you can listen to what she sounds like now. Okay guys, I've checked the valve clearances on both the exhaust and the intake valves. I had to use some sealant on the gaskets as there's no new gaskets in stock at our local KTM dealer. Now the owner of this motorcycle has had it for around 6 months, wherein he rode it for maybe 5 minutes because of the intermittent spark problem. So he asked me to please finish this bike. He wants to take this bike for a ride tomorrow. Obviously I can understand that. I would have felt the same way. If I have a motorcycle, I want to ride it as much as possible when I just get it. So unfortunately this poor owner had to suffer the consequences of not being able to ride his new motorcycle. So now it starts and everything, this is sorted out, although I really feel the suppressor cap is way too long for this motorcycle, but we can't put a short one in because the coil wire isn't long enough. So we've ordered a new coil wire with a new suppressor cap that will go on when the bike comes back. Also, this pink wire and this white wire and the black wire that was cut and rubbed through, I fixed it to the best of my ability at the moment. I've ordered a de-pinning kit which I will use to unpin all of these wires. I want to make them all 2 centimeters shorter and solder them onto the new pins, but unfortunately that didn't come in time. So when the bike comes back for the fork seal replacement, we will tackle that and make sure that that is sorted out as well. For now, we need to reinstall that breather pipe from there to the frame, and then we can reassemble and see if she will start. Okay guys, the vent tube is reinstalled from the exhaust rocker cover or tappet cover to the frame, and out comes good old faithful Vaseline. So what we're going to do here, the tank slides onto these rubber mounts. So I'm just smearing just a tad of Vaseline over this, just to make sure that the tank slips in nicely. Moment of truth. Still have a bit of plastics and things that needs to go back on and so forth, but all of this is installed. I've just finished up with a spotlight mounts. So let's see what this baby does. This is an ice cold start. I want to just show you this. The bike has done 54,448 kilometers. Let's see if she starts. No choke, ice cold start. Open that big tab and she runs the wheel. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If this is the type of content that you like to watch, please consider subscribing and also like the video. There's plenty more of these types of video to come. Sorry for the flickering on some of the scenes. As I mentioned, I've got a new camera. I also added some new lights, but we will sort that out. Until we meet again, and I'll catch you in the next one.